Welcome. Hello and welcome, Ruben. We're so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. What up? Nice to meet
Yeah.
you, Maddie. Nice to see you, Lisa.
It's great to see you, Ruben. So Ruben is someone that I've had the privilege of playing with a bunch. And he is an R&B solo artist. You go into Ruben Young, right?
Yes.
Your Instagram handle's the Rubes, right?
That's true. My Instagram is the Rubs, which I can
Rubs.
see why that might confuse somebody, but but that is me, yes.
Yeah, and you dropped your debut EP last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dream State, super good. One of the songs Ruben did was with Classified, which is very rad. And he just recently put out Flower Girl, the single Flower Girl, which I am obsessed with. It's so good, Ruben.
Come
Such
on,
a
you're
good
obsessed
song.
with it?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. I love it.
Oh, that's the best news. You guys listening don't understand. If Lisa's obsessed with something, it's a very good thing. It's a very good sign for me.
Yeah, so we're just going to ask you a bunch of questions because we're very interested in your life. Maddie, do you want to start with a question?
Yeah, so maybe to start us off, could you just give the audience a little bit of a background on you? Kind of a little bit more about what you do. What's your role in the industry? How did you get into it?
Definitely, yes. So, hey everybody, my name is Ruben Young. I'm a soul R&B artist currently based in Toronto, but born and raised and super proud of it, from Calgary. I at my core, before we dive into the music stuff, I was raised in Marteloup. I went to Alboya Junior High. I went to Western Canada High School. I went to U of C. I am the product of a single Trinidadian immigrant mother household. I grew up in a very diverse home, and I love my city so very, very much. I got into music just super naturally. I've always loved it. I was always kind of drawn to doing lessons and kind of doing the talent show in school here and there. I did Canadian Idol when I was 16 just to see, and I got into the top 50. So that was really encouraging for me. And then I played in bands with my buddies all the way through high school and then university. I took finance at U of C, so I was going the money way. And then I decided I want to do what makes me the happiest, what I love the most, what I think I'm the best at in the world. And I don't even know if that's music. I think it's just connecting with people, but I do it through music. And so I went from the money way to the music way. And Lisa, I'll let you tell them what that means later. But yeah, so I started writing music, and that's when I really fell in love with this thing. And in 2018, I decided, because I make R&B soul music, and let's face it, Calgary's more so known as an amazing country music town, and there's amazing other genres, various genres, Americana, Canadiana, indie. There's great stuff. But when it comes to R&B culture, I really wanted to expand and go to new places. So I started traveling out of town. I was bartending at the time. So what I would do is I would bartend Friday, Saturday, Sunday, make my money for the week. I'd hop on a plane Sunday night and fly to either Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, Los Angeles, Nashville, London, just to write as much music as I could and meet and make as many friends as I could, and grow a little bit. And then I'd fly back to Calgary on Friday and do it all over again. And that's when I fell in love with this thing. That led me to making my EP Dream State. And since then I've kind of moved to Toronto, and now I'm just a full-time, this is my life. So yeah, that's a little quick intro.
That was killer. That was killer. So your writing process is very interesting and unique in that you work with a lot of producers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of describe the process that you go through writing your tunes and what that kind of looks like?
Definitely. Well, in my genre, it's really common to work with, your production team can include 100 people. because we just, you write so many songs. And for me, my creative process typically goes one of two ways. In one way, I may get into what we call a songwriting session, where myself, maybe a producer, and maybe a couple of songwriters will all get in. Half the time we don't even know each other, so it's a bunch of strangers in a room. We spend the first 2 hours talking, getting to know each other, creating a vibe and an energy amongst us. We'll connect on our like musical inspirations, and then eventually that's going to lead us to music. So the producer will either show us a beat that they've worked on, or we'll start something from scratch. Someone will get on a piano and just start. And there's no right or wrong answer in this process. You just let the inspiration take you. And yeah, by the end of like a 4 or 5 hour long session, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, you'll end up with a song. It's really collaborative. You throw out ideas. Everybody kind of chimes in. You listen and accept ideas, and you kind of trust everyone that you're in the room with. And by the end, you're going to have this like song baby that everybody helped make. And it's really cool. That's one. Two is often producers will send me a beat that they thought I might make a great fit for me, or that they want me to write on. And in that case, it could literally happen right here with my laptop and my keyboard and my headphones and my mic, where I'll just try writing whatever I'm feeling at that moment, or taking some song ideas that I may have written in my book at an earlier date and applying it to this beat. So those are kind of my two different approaches.
Very cool. And so when you're in a room with people, do you end up having like almost a finished product? Like, are they actually programming in beats and playing in the parts, and then you're going to like sing over it? Or do you guys kind of like write more organically and then you come back later and put the beats to it, or take it to someone else?
That's a great question. It definitely depends on your team and your preference. So there's no wrong answers in this thing. For me personally, I love having a producer in the room that by the end of the session will have created almost like the shell of the song. Like you're not asking questions about like, how do we produce this? Who do we take it to? It's really nice for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you have a producer involved in the creative process, and that means they're writing the song with you, then they're more invested in the song. They have, they own some of the publishing of the music. And what that means is the alternative to that is having a song, having to go to a producer and saying, hey, will you produce this? At which point they're going to say, sure, for $2,000, for however much money. So sometimes when they're involved in the process, you might be able to save some dollars. A little cheat code for everybody. Well, the biggest reason for me why is because in my SoundCloud private library, I have like 200 songs.
Whoa.
More than half of them will never see the light of day because they don't really have enough identity. I have no idea what I do with them. Meanwhile, I could write a song half as good, but we already know what it is. It's got a vibe, it's got a sound, it's got a beat, it's got programming. And, after 2 more sessions or the producer doing work on it, we could have a finished record. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how does learning an instrument, or how does knowing how to play an instrument help you as a solo artist, as a vocalist, as a songwriter?
That's an amazing question. For me, I'm not the best piano player in the world. Lisa's way better than me. You're probably better than me, Maddie. But this little guy right here allows me to do so much and create so much. With a keyboard, first of all, YouTube can teach you so much just to get started. So if you want just music to write to, and guitar is a little bit too tricky, which it personally is for me, like I just haven't gotten good at it yet. This just came more naturally to me. Reason number two is keyboards let you plug into Ableton or GarageBand or whatever you use to record music on your laptop, and you can use your MIDI to create other sounds. And so you're not just stuck with a keyboard or piano sound. You can explore other creative ideas. This could become a drum kit for me, or it could become an 808 synth or the craziest sound you've ever heard, but you have the freedom of being creative with the keyboard. So yeah, it's really helped me.
Yeah. And do you find that having some knowledge about theory or how kind of music works kind of helps you when you're collaborating with other people? So you're not just a vocalist, you have some sort of knowledge about what everyone else is doing as well and how it fits together?
You know what? If people have that skill, of course it's valuable. I personally don't. I don't have any music theory experience or skill or talent. Other than what I've taught myself at the keyboard,
Right.
which is, yeah, I know like a pentatonic scale, like or two, and that's pretty much it. Don't tell anybody. Delete that from them. I'm just joking. But the people who do know and the real musicians in the room, I think, are invaluable. Like they bring so much to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You found ways to communicate with musicians and with producers, even though you don't know all of the theory, and you can communicate your ideas musically, right?
Yes, there should be a meme account for singers trying to talk to music, or like, or to producers being like, "Can I get a little bit more of that? The like, no, the you hear that? Can I get it to feel more like a boom boom instead of a?" And they're like, "You mean you want a little bit less resonance, a little bit more low end? You want me to EQ out some of the?" And I'll be sitting there like, "Yeah, totally. I've learned it at this point. I'm good at it now." But there were a lot of sessions where I was definitely making a lot of weird sounds with my mouth.
But I mean, there's so many ways to communicate, right? And you found ways to have your voice have weight in a session like that.
For sure. And you know what? Sometimes not having the technical background or the theory background, it's a learning process to learn how to communicate and understand how to do it properly. But once you do, what you're ultimately doing is you're learning to trust in yourself and your instincts. And as a songwriter, like that's super, super important. And, you know, you learn in songwriting sessions with multiple people how much your instincts are important, but also how sometimes you can what's it called when you not settle, but you compromise. You compromise because you're in a room with other creative geniuses, and you got to let their ideas have their moments too, and maybe theirs are better than yours. So it's a really fun process to grow and just get really good at this thing.
Killer. So how do you go about finding producers to work with or other songwriters to collaborate with?
That's a great question. The internet's our best friend right now. You know, the internet is our best friend. When I started out and I was doing those trips, I was just literally, I was on Instagram, I was on Facebook, I was on Google trying to find the producers and the songwriters that I liked who worked on music that I knew, and I would contact them. Now that is not always the most effective way to communicate with people or to reach out, because a lot of these people are getting these messages all the time. You mentioned I have a song with Classified, and I met Classified was performing at a party in Calgary that I was at by pure accident. And he got off stage and he walked into VIP, and I was with my friends and I looked at them. I'm like, yo, I'm going to go say what up. I'm a fan. I'm going to say, hey. And they're like, do it. Yes. So I grabbed two drinks. I grabbed two drinks. I walk over to the VIP area. The bouncer's like, hey, excuse me. Do you have a pass? I'm like, no, I'm with Mark, and just walked right by him. Always drop Mark. I don't know why, but it works, guys. And next thing you know, I'm in VIP next to Classified. I hand him a drink. I say, hey man, I'm a huge fan. Listened to you for almost my whole life. You've been on the radio, I swear. And I would love the opportunity to send you some music. And he said, dude, take my email. I love it. And, 2 months later, I was in Enfield, Nova Scotia, making a song with a guy I'd been listening to on the radio for my whole life. So it's also a matter of like being creative and putting yourself out there in ways. Even when you're messaging people in the DMs, find a way that it's not just like, hey, I'm Ruben. I really like you. I would love to work with you. That's great. But like, maybe tell them about why you love them and how, maybe they've impacted you, or just other little things that you can personalize to make it more intimate, reach out.
That's all.
You
That's
are
a great
crazy.
story.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. That's just getting started.
I wanted to ask you a little bit more about how you find ways to connect with your audience. So obviously when there was a lot of live shows, stuff like stage banter and your stage performance play into that a lot. And maybe you have some advice about ways to connect with your audience like that, but also in the digital world now, maybe through social media, or if you're doing live streams, how do you find ways to be relevant and engage with an audience still?
That's a great question. I think it's challenging for everybody right now, of course, because you wish you could be in front of fans and perform. That's always the best. But there's no way around it. This is the world we live in, especially with COVID. And all of us have to, as artists, I think we all have to find a way to like show who we are and give people, if you show people who you are, it's just like making friends. People are gonna either love you or not like you. It's one or the other, and it's totally okay if they don't like you. I'm not a big country music guy, but I really like some country music artists because I resonate with them for whatever reason. And most of the time that's because they're cool people. And the internet and this lets us like just be ourselves. So I would just encourage everybody to, when you're making music and you're thinking about how to get it out there, combine your ideas with being genuinely yourself, because that is all I'm focused on right now with my own music. So yeah.
For sure.
I love that. Just like making friends, and sometimes people get you, sometimes people don't. That's killer.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm moving my phone because I need to charge, but I'm with you.
Ruben, you did the Canada Music Incubator program, right?
I did.
Can you I don't think a lot of people know about that. So can you tell us like a little bit about what it is and your experience of it?
Yeah. Well, the Canada Music Incubator is an artist development program that was started in Toronto, and I believe the only other place that they actually offer it is in Calgary, which is amazing. So it's a way for, if you're an up and coming developing artist and you want to learn, you want to learn about the whole industry, everything from like contracts to logistics to songwriting to connecting it, networking. It was an amazing 6-week program where they kind of walked through all of it. They brought in great guest mentors. They brought in literally an entertainment lawyer who sat there and took questions and gave us a little bit of a breakdown on what they do and what we should look out for, what we should be looking for. It was a super valuable growth from like moment and experience for me. And I would definitely encourage everybody to look into it. Without a doubt. And there are also other great development programs around Canada right now. If you are in, R&B, hip hop, and soul music in that world, I would highly recommend you check out the Remix Project in Toronto. It's very similar to what I just described with Canada's Music Incubator, but it's just focused on those genres. And if you know those genres, you know that there are cultures. So they're fantastic. House, oh no, it's not spelled normally. There's an X in there somewhere, maybe instead of the S. But The Weeknd and his label created House, and it's an artist incubator development program as well. So if you're serious about growing, totally look into this stuff.
Very cool. So instead of like going to a music school or something like that, this is another way that you can gather and access information and make connections, right?
Exactly. And it's very hands-on too, which is great. I never went to music school, so I don't know what that experience is like. I heard Berklee's amazing, but this is also going to be great for you.
Right.
Also, the people at Canada Music Incubator are the best. They really cared. And I have when I moved to Toronto, I had a great network and foundation to at least start with because of them. So yeah, shout out to them.
Incredible.
Awesome. I think me and Lisa kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about some of the ways you market and brand your music, because Lisa was talking about you focus a lot on branding yourself.
Or you're just like one of those guys that gets like knows a lot about those kinds of things, I think, and I find you to be very innovative in that department.
Yes.
And very creative. So we want to hear a little bit about your take on that, because not everybody is good at that or even has any kind of ideas about those things.
Totally. First of all, thank you so much for that, and I appreciate that. And it's hard. It's genuinely hard. It's like we all have our own super talents, and that is one that a lot of people think either you get or you don't. But I think it's one of those things that no matter what takes work and time. And let me put it this way, okay? So I have a song called Flower Girl that just came out a couple weeks ago. And in the song, I talk about the like the 70s kind of hippie culture. And it was the counterculture at the time. It was very like controversial. It was about peace and love against the times of war. It was about free love and music. And I kind of wrote this song about the essence of like this amazing woman who has the same energy of that counterculture, like a hippie girl pretty much. And so when I thought about the branding for this song, a part of like rolling it out on Instagram, for example, was in the song I say, you know, I kind of pay homage to Janis Joplin, Stevie Nicks, Joni Mitchell, as well as Zoe Kravitz, Lisa Bonet, and like kind of modern day flower girls. And so I used pictures of them and kind of incorporated it into this like 70s trippy branding that I had in my head, visual. And to take one step back, what I actually did was I scoured through Pinterest and found pictures and created a mood board that inspired me and kind of like, to me, was a great visual representation of what Flower Girl meant to me. That mood board really helped me create a music video, a lyric video, a lot of my Instagram social content. And at the end of the day, it's also, again, it's just genuinely me. This song is, if you know me, you'll hear the song and be like, oh, it's totally Ruben. It's his type of writing, his type of goofy storytelling. And I just try to put myself into all of the content. So I hope that helps. Brett, like there could be a 6-week course on branding. If anybody wants to talk it through though, or wants like somebody to listen or like whiteboard ideas with, you can totally hit me up on Instagram, and I'd love to like hear about your vision. Oh, and that's the biggest thing, is it all comes down to your vision. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just have a vision, put in the time to manifesting like what it might look like, and then just go ahead and create it the best way you can.
Yes. Ruben. I also love just the visual of you going through Pinterest and making a mood board. I didn't know that you did that. Yes.
Yeah. My Pinterest mood boards are fire. Like flames.
I've seen your visuals on your content, and it's got a vibe. Okay, so you're one of those people that has invested in the Calgary music scene. You did a festival a while ago. You've been here. You've been you wanted to invest in Calgary, and I love that about you. And then just recently you made the transition to Toronto. So can you, and you alluded to some of the reasons why. Can you tell us a little bit about like how that experience has been, if you felt like it was the right choice, the right time, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, that's that's been a huge part of my life and my career, shifting over to Toronto. And I guess I'll talk about timing first. You never really know when you're ready. I guess you're just ready when you are. I kind of wish I went earlier because I would have just been exposed to more sooner. But had I gone earlier, maybe I wouldn't have been ready for all of that. Right. And so it's really about like trusting your gut with something like that. For me, I just knew that my goals still are to become, as successful as I can possibly be at my music. You know, I want my music to reach ears all around the world, and I want to resonate and connect with people around the world. And at the time, I think all of us are kind of products of our environment. Like people say, well, you're like the sum of your 3 best friends, you're the 5 people you spend your most time with. There are all of these different theories. And when it comes to my growth as an artist, I wanted to spend time surrounded by people better than me, like undeniably better, further along. Better is a weird word in music, but further along, deeper in their process, successful. And growing up here, there weren't a ton of artists to model after or to learn from or to take notes and go watch their shows. There were a few amazing ones, but when I got to Toronto, I had the chance to be overwhelmed by, like, you know, I think when I had moved there, I had opened for the Chainsmokers and Nelly and Akon and played great shows in my hometown, but I never toured. I had, you know, I had maybe 500,000 streams or 1 million streams on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff like that, but I had never been on the radio. And you get out there and you see that there are like hundreds of artists like you that make music similar to you, and that every one of them has a different story. Some of them love music videos. Some of them are afraid of music videos. Some love branding. Some are terrible at it. Some like stuff like this. And some people, like The Weeknd, literally spent the first, I think, 3 years of his career not doing a single interview. So everybody's different, and it's just really cool to go and be inspired. And that's what Toronto's done for me. I met a lot of really talented people and a lot of like really great friends too. And it's been really cool. But Calgary's always home. Don't get it twisted.
That's awesome. Lisa, do you have any more questions specifically for Ruben?
I think I asked all the ones that I wanted to hear.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you if there's one piece of advice you could leave us off with for young artists just beginning, what would you say to them?
That's a good question. All right. Let me think about that before I go ahead and say something dumb. Okay, I got a couple for you. Number 1, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. One of my best friends told me, nobody asks a question because they want to feel stupid. And anybody on the other side of a question should keep that in mind. And even if they don't let it stop you. So that would be my first one. And I would also say that right now it's just this beautiful time where everything is pretty much at your fingertips. You can learn so much. For me, and for Lisa, like the internet was not as wild as it is now when I was 19. Mm-hmm. And like we were on Facebook, like it's not even close, right? Right now you can do so much, no matter where you are, and learn so much. So first things first, don't be afraid to ask questions. Second one is you have to understand that if you actually want to pursue a career as an artist, you're gonna have to outwork everybody. You're gonna have to outwork pretty much everybody that you've ever met, that you've ever looked up to, because they've already done it in a way that was different. And outwork means you have to find your own way. There's no rule book in music. There's no manual to be like, sure, the manual tells you everything that you can do, but you can't do all of it. You're not going to want to do all of it. And what you do want to do, you're going to be a pioneer of. So that's why you have to ask questions. And that's why you're going to have to bust your butt and work hard. And I personally promise that if anybody watching this wants to ask me a question, I'll answer you. So hit me up.
That's so awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That's some awesome advice.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Ruben. It was a pleasure to have you.
Of course. I'm honored, girls. This is great. Okay. Well, you guys be good. Thank you again.
Thanks so much.